are the challenges you have experienced and encountered that when you expand Brandon Medical to Asia, and what are your advice to them?
It's extremely competitive, and I think what a lot of businesses miss is you have to up your game. It's also very dynamic. I mean, the pace of market change is electric, but then there's a dichotomy. There's that electric pace of change, but also you have to be extremely patient, and you have to invest time in developing those trusted relationships.
Yes, I mean, for Hong Kong, I think it's slightly easier for UK business, I hope.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a very welcoming place,
Yes.
particularly if you're British. I think also, as I mentioned, it's not just the language. I think also business culture is much more aligned to that of European, because it's a very international city.
So Keith, in terms of the healthcare industries in Hong Kong, we have mentioned and discussed that there are many strengths and it's an ideal gateway to go into the China's dynamic Greater Bay Area. Do you think with the growth of the GBA is a good opportunities for healthcare sector's businesses to tap into the China market?
Absolutely. I think I was just reflecting on the fact when I first visited Hong Kong in 1996, I took the train to Shenzhen, and it took more than an hour, well over an hour. Yes, wow. Well over an hour, and now it's 15 minutes. And I think that's a reflection of how much the connectivity of that region has been developed at a lightning pace. So that's a huge opportunity. I think there's also a huge investment, very significant investment in developing healthcare provision in that part of the Asia region. And so that presents huge opportunity. So the connectivity, the investment, and the appetite for innovative products, for leading products, for reliable products, high quality products is very palpable. So yes, and I think the approach that we're taking is to build out from Hong Kong, because if you have a reference centre, so you have a successful installation where you've delivered on your customer needs, that can then be, because of the connectivity, people can actually come and see it. They come and see what you've done for other customers. So that builds your credibility and then expand from there.
So Keith, how have been Brandon Medical to cope with the issues like Brexit and also the ongoing global supply chain issues?
Supply chain challenges is a daily challenge, as I said. I think you have to be agile, you have to innovate, you have to work in strong partnership with your supply chain partners. And I think part of the essence of that is having much more regular contact. We've all got used to using video conferencing much more so than before COVID. Yeah. So that's one tool that we can use to keep in regular contact and being flexible. So maybe actually adapting products, looking for new suppliers as well as working with existing, and investing in stock.
In your opinion, what changes during this COVID had become a stimulus for innovations and other on your product and services for Brandon Medical?
Yeah, I think one thing that became very apparent during the COVID crisis is how underprovided intensive care is in many, many hospital settings. So that creates a huge opportunity, because actually one of the things that Brandon Medical do is to supply equipment for intensive care therapy. I think the other is there's now a huge backlog in almost every country of elective surgery, because that was postponed during COVID. So that's another big opportunity. But it's not just about returning to business as usual. In order to address this huge backlog and these very long waiting lists, operating theatres need to become more efficient, more modern, so that they can actually deal with more patients in a shorter space of time.
Or so even remotely as well.
Absolutely. Well, that's another thing actually. With COVID, what we learned is it was very difficult not just to travel internationally and the frustrations that brings, but also to actually access hospital sites. So one other theme that we've been working hard on is things like remote condition monitoring. So monitoring the equipment remotely, maybe making an intervention if needed, and being more proactive in how we maintain that and service that equipment.
So without giving too much away, can you give us some insight about what is your future plans for Brandon Medical? Is there anything in particularly related to Hong Kong or the Asia region?
One thing we would very much like to do is to use some of the installations in Hong Kong, as I say, as a reference site, so we can bring customers from mainland China to actually see physical evidence of the work we do, the high quality, the high standards. Through our network, through our strong relationship with our partner, what we have developed over the last 2 years, even with COVID and the inability to travel, is we now have a very serious, very capable partner in Beijing for the China mainland, and we are currently very actively progressing the regulatory approvals for our products in the Chinese market. So that's quite exciting, and there might be some more news later this year on that.
Yes, and that's very exciting. And on that note, actually, with the GBA development, there are some changes of policy. For example, the medical device being practiced and also used in Hong Kong hospital will be able to use in the GBA which is amazing development.
Absolutely. I think, yes, the regulatory piece is always something you have to consider with medical products,
Yes.
not surprisingly, and quite rightly so. And it can be hard to navigate that path, but what's really helpful is if you have a partner who understands that and is supportive through that process.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take a while. We've been working on it now almost 2 years, but we're getting very close to having a certification, and we're really excited about actually launching product and seeing the first installations in mainland China.
And hopefully you'll be able to go to China and Hong Kong soon to see this new product.
I hope so, yeah. I'm very much looking forward to that.